Cool. So this is weekly roundup. Now it has been quite a minute since the last weekly roundup. I think it was in November 2024, and we are now in April 2025. So it's been like 5 months. There's a couple of reasons why it's been so long, and I'll go through those as we get into this video. And mainly, I think that the overarching reason has been I wanted to take a little bit of time out so that I could realign myself with what I need to be doing in order to be going at stuff in the correct way, not burning myself out. I needed to change a few things around at work because I'm still working full time, and it just needed a lot of time and energy. There was a lot of new stuff that I had to learn and ingrain into memory, as well as working at the same time. So, I've been doing, 50, 55 hours, 60 hours a week averagely, for quite a while keeping on top of like gym and sauna, meditation, still getting a little bit of social time in, sunlight in the morning, stretching, all that sort of stuff. And I just decided that rather than filming and documenting probably really half-arsed and getting to a point where I resent it because it would have required so much energy to get into filming and uploading and editing and all that sort of stuff, I just decided that I'm going to take a break from it and come back to it when I've got the energy to do it. So we're back. I've really, just to kind of go macro, the reason why I made the changes at work, and put myself through quite a lot of sacrifice, energy-wise, time-wise, was so that I could actually focus on the content creation stuff long term. I just uploaded a podcast video pretty recently that was talking about basically having to become a specific type of person in order to move you towards what you want to actually move towards. And I think that, I'm not the type of person who's going to make this bit at the back. I'm not going to make content on a subject that I'm not like doing, like I'm not going to say, oh, you should, take time out of your schedule and build yourself if I'm not then doing that. So I thought it was really important that I do that, and then I can start to make videos about it. Plus, I'm actually progressing towards the stuff that I want to progress towards rather than just, being in that perpetual cycle of thinking, talking, planning, but not actually doing. So this past week, couple of the more general things is I've got my gym routine back, which is going really well. I'm training a bodybuilding split at the minute, so like 4 days of training with like 4 or 5 days of rest in that cycle. So I'm probably training a body part once every 8 or 9 days, and I'm seeing some really good progress from that, really letting myself rest. Sleep's obviously a big one. My sleeping routine at the minute is pretty good. All things considered, I'm getting on average about 7 hours a night, so that's going well. I've been, again, just getting back into my routine. The past couple of weeks have been a bit up and down, but this last week has been really good in terms of being organised with food, having set days for sauna and gym, generally just being on top of, that little admin shit like washing and cleaning, tidying. So just generally, again, making time for that is way easier when you've got things already set up, so just literally like having a calendar on your phone of like, I'm going to go to the shop on this day because it aligns with like getting up, going to the gym, and then I've got an hour free, so I'll go to the shop there, and then I've got stuff in the fridge so that tomorrow when I need to meal prep, it will already be in the fridge, and I know what meal prep I'm doing because I've already organised that for the next few weeks, so I don't get bored, and I know when I'm shopping. And it's just about being organised, just spending half an hour a week on, this is going to fit there, that'll fit here, and generally having an outline of your week. But then, you've got to be prepared to be flexible as well. So this Obviously, I'm in a new place from the last videos that I've been uploading, so that's been a big change. Just having a bit of time to settle in to where I'm at, the people that I'm living with, the space that I've got. Although it's smaller than what I was, this space is mine, completely my own, and just being able to wake up in my own energy, do things in my own time, not having, not living with animals like cats and dogs, and not having anybody else in my immediate space just makes it much easier to kind of lock in on the stuff that I want to do. So that's been something else that's been really big over the past couple of months, is getting those changes in. And I'm also much closer to work now as well. So rather than it taking me like 35 to 40 minutes to get to work, it now takes me like 5 or 6 minutes. So that was one of the big reasons for the move as well, because obviously that cuts out like 90% of my entire commute. What else have we been doing? Meditation's been good. So definitely 3, possibly 4 times last week I meditated for at least 20 minutes a time. I do feel like that's helped me with my mental clarity, my patience, and just generally having a much more calm feeling. There's not as much of an existential rush to get stuff done. It's more of a feeling of it's still going to get done, so do it well, rather than rushing to try and do it as fast as you can, and then probably having to redo it anyway. So yeah, I feel like meditation's really helped ground me over the past few weeks, to be fair, but especially like the last 7 days has been really, really beneficial. Actually started putting some time back into the business, so like content creation, editing, coming up with ideas for videos. So for the first time in a long time, I did like 2 hours of work on the business last week, which was nice. Obviously, this is my long-term vision for what I want to do for an income. It's not work. I enjoy talking about stuff like this. It's quite interesting and stimulating to learn about all the little bits and pieces that go into it. So yeah, finally getting back to a place where I've got enough energy and I've got the right mindset towards putting time and effort into it is very nice. I'm very glad, and it just shows that sometimes you really do need to take a couple of steps back, rest, recuperate, and realign yourself with where you actually want to move towards, and then come at it from more of a systematic approach that's organized, rather than just flailing around and hoping that something's going to happen, because it very rarely does. Food has been good. I've been actually to say that I've been busy. Food's not really fallen off. I've not been fantastic with meal prep overall. However, I did loads of meal prep yesterday, so I've got food for the next couple of days. And again, it's just being organised, being a bit lazy as a result of, well, I'm not going to say being lazy because I've been working a horrendous amount, but it's just not having that discipline of going to the shop. I need to go to the shop tonight so I can cook tomorrow. It's like, oh, fuck that, I want to go home and chill, and then, knock-on effects. But yeah, long story short, my thing with food isn't really that bad with savoury food, it's sweet food. So I've found a new dark chocolate brand, and it doesn't have any gluten, it's got no processed sugar, there's no dairy in it, and all the ingredients in it are all organic, and they used unprocessed coconut sugar. So as far as dark chocolate goes, in my opinion, it's absolutely guilt-free. So I've been letting myself, in a way, like eating as much as I want, but because it's the dark chocolate and it's not the sugar, like you have a couple of pieces and you're kind of done. So I'm not really counting that as eating bad food at all, because I'm not binging on it, and it's all organic, non-processed foods that just happens to be like dark chocolate. So I'm not going to count that as anything bad, to be fair, because I could quite easily smash like 3 bars of fucking processed milk chocolate like that, and instead I'm eating like 3 pieces of organic dark chocolate like that. So yeah, count your battles. So that's going really good. What else? Time in nature and sunlight has been pretty good. I've been making sure I've been walking every day. I've just set a little reminder in my phone, so every day, no matter what happens, I go for an actual walk rather than just walking to somewhere. I'm just going for a walk in nature. So that's, again, on a systemic approach, keeping me quite grounded, quite calm. It leaves sort of like space and time for me to just have some space with myself where I'm not doing anything. I think the gym's great for that, the sauna's great for that, meditation's great for that. But there's always like a purpose behind that stuff. Whereas I feel like just generally having some time with yourself, where like ideas can come up, and you think, oh, I'd like to speak to this friend that I've not messaged, or just take a few breaths, and just feel a bit centered and calm. It just keeps that energy quite balanced through the week, rather than getting too head heavy with I've got to do this and I've got to be there, and my alarm's going off to leave to go to work, and all that sort of stuff. It can get pretty easy to get caught up here. So I'm doing my best to like come down here and remain grounded. And the final thing is, I used to I created this like spreadsheet like a couple of years ago. Let me just have a quick look. So I originally, the first time I did it was 2022, the 30th of May 2022. And it's basically a spreadsheet, and it's got 29 different things. And that sounds really like big and crazy, but this will make sense. So it's basically all of the different things that I could potentially do in a day, which I feel like contribute towards being a better, healthier, more organized, more knowledgeable, person tomorrow. So I'll read a couple of the examples out, because I think it'll be So like, for example, doing your washing or your laundry, doing your pots, stuff, doing a shift at work, organizing or doing anything to do with like the markets, cryptos, forex, stocks, just generally keeping an eye on what's going on in the markets / investing capital or taking profits out or anything to do with that. Recording videos, editing videos, uploading videos. That's 3 separate things, because rather than it being a big chunk, I was like, right, well, if I can record it on one day, edit it on another day, and upload it on another day, I've done the work, the task. It's been completed. So if I break it up into 3 parts, it's easier for me to accomplish. And again, it's like 3 opportunities for me to get a win on 3 different days. Journaling, stretching, going to the gym, going to the sauna, going for a walk, meditating, like doing mobility work. But then there's also things like, it's got like a tier system. So like, if I do, in terms of food wise, if I don't eat any bad fats or any gluten, I get 6 points. If I have a completely clean eating day of full, like just clean food, I get 8 points. And if I eat kind of whatever I want, but I just take out sugar, so I could eat like a pizza, for example, but I still eat sugar, then for that one I get 4 points. So it's different based on how clean I eat. So it just encourages me to keep an eye on the stuff that ordinarily like I might not care about. It's just a fun way to see how I'm doing, because I'm really competitive, and it turns out that if you compete with yourself but for the right intent, then I generally do better on weeks where I track my life, purely just to track it. There's no competition. There's no, if you get so many points, then I get X, Y, or Z. It's purely just me keeping an eye on my behaviors. I'm naturally better off for it. So yeah, that's something that I've started doing again from last week, and I'm enjoying it. It's kind of fun to play. But then also, like, a really important thing to add in there is I've got like taking a nap / resting / being in nature. I also get points for that as well. So it's not just something where I'm going to burn myself out. It's something where it actually is an overall view on how my week has gone, because yeah, we don't want to end up at burnout. So yeah, that's kind of it. The momentum has shifted. I've spent a lot of time being really patient over the past few months in order to get to the situation that I'm in now. I've got my own space. I've got somewhere to work from. I'm in a routine. I'm close to work. I've got a shift pattern coming up that's a permanent change moving forward, which is going to allow me to have 3 days a week off while still working full time. So that's going to give me a lot more flexibility in terms of if I want to put more overtime in at work to get more cash to invest or buy equipment or courses, whatever I want, or if I want more time for myself to be able to record or train or just take some time out of being at work for 5 days a week. Then that's my normal routine: 4 days of working, 3 days off, but my 4 days are a little bit longer. Another thing with that change as well that's going to be really important for me is it's going to give me a lot more variety within my work. So rather than just doing a very similar sort of routine at work, it's going to be quite different through the week, which, because I've spent the time learning all of the different processes and different ways that things are going to be needed to be done, that's now going to be interesting variety rather than overwhelming confusion. So that's again just another insight as to I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks preparing so that I can now do the stuff that I want to do to put into long-term sort of business content creation. So it's not a slow process, and I think that that's something that's worth underlining for this week is, although it can from a pure content creation standpoint seem like, oh well, I've not made a video for 5 months, it's actually, well, I've spent the past 5 months creating a lifestyle and an environment in order to facilitate the long-term ability to create content consistently, and I think that's just really worth sort of ending on, really. So yeah, that's it for this week. Momentum shifted, vibes are good. I've worked, over the past 2 weeks, I've worked, out of 14 days, I've worked 12 days. So I've now got some time off to rest, to recover, to create, and just, going to go out in the sunshine after recording this and just generally chill out for a little bit. So peace and love, guys. Thanks for watching, and I catch you all on the flippity flip.